Okay. Oh, I put this in the wrong place. Okay. Well, good morning. Good morning, everybody. November 19. Thanks for being on the call. And today we're going to talk about passion. So before that, of course, the slaughterhouse of failure is not in our destiny. We will persist until we succeed. That's extremely important. That's augmentino mandino with a little modification for us in our team. So we're going to discuss passion today. And I just want to make one statement as a which I think is important. Passion can drive us or blind us. I want to kind of make a yin and yang out of that. It can absolutely motivate and drive us, or it can blind us. So Dan, if you want to start, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, first, I'd like to, thanks, Lawrence. First, I'd like to change your mantra a little bit since we're talking about passion to the slaughterhouse of failure is not my destiny. I will have the passion to succeed, right?
All right.
A lot of people that we see that are successful have a lot of passion for what they're doing, right? And then that helps. That passion kind of filters down to their employees, filters down to people that they talk to about their business, who they do business with. I get very passionate about things when other people are passionate about them, right? So I have a belt. The name of the company is Grip 6. They're actually based out of Provo, Utah, just north of Provo, Utah. Best belt I've ever owned. It's a nylon belt, one of those ones that a lot of times they get loose because the buckles don't work that great. But the buckles on these things are fantastic, and the thing never gets loose. So I'm passionate about that product, right? And the owner is super passionate about that product. He's always doing live updates to people that are involved in his business. He's sending out live updates on what they're doing manufacturing. He's super passionate about his product, and that passion filters down. It's something so simple and something so mundane as a belt, but I'm super passionate about it, and I tell everybody about these belts because they're the best belts I've ever used. I mean, I'm an outdoors person, as you know, and I don't like to be hiking and my pants are constantly falling down because my belt keeps loosening up. So, it works really well. It's so simple. It's ridiculous that somebody hadn't thought of it sooner. And so I'm super passionate about that product. And I tell everybody, especially like around Christmas time, I'm like, if you're looking for a great present for your husband or your sons, get them this belt because they're going to be super happy with it. So, it's that passion. Like I said, it filters down. Everybody in his organization, I've actually visited their facility where they make these things, and everybody in their facility, all the employees are super passionate, right? And I think we have that on this team. And the great thing about passion is it does filter down to others. If you come across in a way that that you're passionate about your product, you're going to be passionate about succeeding. Passionate people succeed, right? Because it's not necessarily about the money, or it's more about the product and being a product of that product and being passionate about the product. But as Lawrence said, it can be a double-edged sword. Sometimes that passion comes across to others as snake oil or whatever terminology you want to use. So you have to know your audience, how you're coming across to those folks and how you're representing the product and how you're representing our business.
So just as a by the way parenthesis, Jim Trainer asks what's the name of the belt? Well, there you've got a third-party validation for the belt. So the fact that Dan is excited about the belt and he's talking about the belt with a certain passion, that's ignited an interest in somebody else like Jim want to get a belt as well. So that's where the third-party validation comes in. I'm just saying. So yeah, the other thing about passion is that, of course, it's contagious. It's contagious. And if we are really passionate about something, that passion becomes contagious. In fact, human nature has, or the humans have a certain trait that that catches with others. I mean, we've shown a little video before of a person getting on a train and just laughing at something that he thought was funny on an iPad. And he was killing himself laughing. By the end of it, everybody was laughing. They didn't know what the hell they were laughing about. They were just laughing because the other guy was laughing. So there is a human element that we don't even understand. I don't anyway, what it is, but it is that catchy thing. So passion is one of those elements that is very important if we can get to be passionate. However, to have the passion, we've got to know why we're passionate and what we want, what it is that we're passionate about. So we get back to the what and the why. Why are we doing this? What do we want from it? And then when we understand what the why and the what, then we can become passionate if we really know what it is. So I cannot become passionate about selling cars or about money doesn't drive me. Something else drives me, helping people, making a difference. These sort of things which are intangible, those drive my passion. And I think everybody has their why and their what they want and why they want it. That would drive their passion.
Absolutely. Passion can be a huge driver. You know, it's been said a lot, but that's because it truly matters. Passion, you need passion in order to succeed, right? If you're not passionate about something, you're going to be much less driven to succeed, especially in the hard times, right? When those hard times come along, if you don't have that extreme passion for what you're doing, it's going to be more difficult to move past those barriers, right? You know, there's times in this business where you're going to be not as successful, you know, for a period of time as you'd like to be. You know, and I had this talk with one of our team members the other day. You know, he said, look, you know, these people said they were going to send me their scanner agreement today. And I'm, you know, 6 o'clock and I can't believe I don't have it yet. You know, maybe I want this to happen quicker than it's actually going to happen. And I said, you know, they said they send it, they're going to send it. And first thing this morning, we got the scanner agreement for a small franchise of gyms in our area. And so they're going to, you know, they're rebranding. And they're super passionate about the scanner and what we're doing with that. They're rebranding away from Gold's Gym and going, you know, kind of independent. And they're starting a whole wellness side to their business. And they're really passionate about exercise, but they're also passionate about nutrition and wellness and those other things. And so they want to add those components into their gyms, you know, and we've created that passion with what we're doing with the scanner in them, and they're super excited to offer this to their clients. And you know, so that passion, and I believe a lot of that passion came from how passionately Jerry and I were talking to them about what we have, right? And there's that third party validation again. You know, Jerry and I both had that same passion for what we're doing, and it rubbed off on those folks. But you know, it's only impossible for someone without passion to be unsuccessful, right? If you're not passionate about something, it's much easier to be unsuccessful in what we're doing. And I think on our teams, we all have somebody that have different drivers. You know, for myself, as Lauren said, my passion is not money in this business. My passion is helping others and helping others to succeed. That's what I'm passionate about. You know, I wasn't always passionate about those things. I always wanted to be involved in something that I was passionate about where I could help other people. And my previous profession was a means to an end for me to get there, right? Because not, you know, I don't have to worry about that financial piece. So it's much easier for me to be passionate about something when I get rid of that piece that was holding me back of always chasing a dollar, right? And so, you know, passion's what drives you. Passion keeps you going despite the difficulties that your business will inevitably come across. You know, there's a lot of times in any business, anytime you're doing anything worthwhile, you're gonna throw up your arms and say, is this really what I want to be doing? But when you have that passion for what you're doing, it makes it much more it makes it much easier to move forward.
You know, I'm thinking about you climbing those rocks and the mountains and you know, El Capitan and the mountains that you climb and this kind of stuff. You know, if you have the passion that drives you, you don't see the challenge as anything to worry about. You know, if I look at the mountain and I'm not passionate about it, I'm going to worry about falling down and I'm going to worry about all sorts of other things. Whereas if, and work-wise is the same thing. If you like what you do and you're passionate about what you do, it's not work. It's just fun. And it, you know, people say, but why are you doing it? 16 hours you've been doing this thing. You've been working for 16 hours. I've been working for 16 hours. I've been playing for 16 hours. It's just fun. It's a passion that is timeless if you really are, if you have that emotion. And the passion is the driving force that will give us that mental nirvana, if you like. There's a mental yay when we're passionate about something and we love what we do. So, you know, each one of us has a passion for something, and that's the driving force. But I also want to say that be careful, because passion can also be you could be blinded by passion. So it can drive you or blind you. So you could be passionate about something you hate, and there are many people and many instances that people go into that negative passion, and that's where we have negative emotions, and we have all these terrible things that we see, you know, on TV, where all kind of bad things happen, because that's a passion that's gone the other way. So we've got to understand that passion can drive you or blind you. And we are choosing to drive and be encouraged and in a very positive mind all the time, because we've chosen something, and it may not have we not have chosen it at the beginning, but it maybe fell in our lap. Somebody offered us something that we didn't know about. Like, for example, you know, you've just talked about your belt. You didn't go out and look for the passion of having the belt, but it fell on your lap, and now you're passionate about it. And it's the same thing with our business. We didn't know we had a scanner, but some people don't know. Many people, most people, then they see it. Some people like it, some people don't. Some people embrace it and become passionate like we are. Or some people will just, you know, say, oh, okay, it's cool, and not go on. So it's up to us to have that passion which will rub off on other people.
Yeah, passion can be contagious, either good or bad, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, you can blind you. You know, that's when I got into this business, I wanted to do my due diligence, and I you know, I try to tell people that are looking at the business that I want them to feel comfortable that they've had enough information that they can make an informed decision to be passionate about this business, right? And the road to success, it's crowded. But it'd be impossible for everyone on that road to success to succeed. That's why only the passionate ones do. They're usually the ones that succeed, because not only are they passionate about the product, but they're able to get people on board by communicating that passion and creating that passion in others, right? People will want to work with you if they see that passion that you have for what you're doing, right? The types of people that you want on your team are those same people who want to be driven by passion, right? And entrepreneurs also have a passionate way of communicating ideas that get other people on board, right? They're able to communicate what we're doing, how we're doing it, and the value that brings to other people, right? And they don't just come up with ideas to show investors or lure people into the business. They assemble teams. They want to inspire and create that passion in others. So going back to the belt, you know, this company, Grip 6, was just a belt company. And I love their belts, right? And then they came out with a wallet. So they came out with a wallet that's it's sandwiched on both sides by aluminum, and you put your credit cards in here and they pop up, right? And it works. It's RFID, all these things. So I was passionate about their belts, and when they came out with the wallet, I was like, I'm tired of carrying around this big bulky wallet in my back pocket. It screws up my back alignment every time I sit on my wallet. I want something I can slip in my pocket and carry all my credit cards around in, and it's convenient, you know. And now I love this wallet. It's a phenomenal wallet, and I'm passionate about that. And then, you know, that the owner, BJ Minson, he's really passionate about what he's doing. Like I said, he does a great job of communicating what they're doing to others, and it builds that passion, you know. And this past year during the pandemic, they came out with socks, and guess what? I've got their socks now, because, you know, that passion breeds passion.
Well, passion, what did you say? Passion breeds what?
Passion breeds passion.
Passion breeds passion. Okay. Well, passion also makes you persistent. So if you're passionate about something, you become persistent in what you're doing, in what you're looking at, what you have, what you're doing. And so passion is a huge motivating element in ourselves. And you, for example, Dan, you know, it just, for example, you've talked about the passion, now the wallet, now the socks. So you've kind of led in from one thing to another. So we do that with the scanner. We talk about the scanner, then we talk about, well, by the way, we've also got a LumiSpa. By the way, we've also got something for your foot cream. By the way, we've also got something for your eyes, and so on. And I think at some time, for example, I'm not enthusiastic about the socks because I have Bombas, which I think are the best socks on the planet. But the wallet now stirs my interest too. The belt, not so much, but the wallet, yes. So there again, there are different strokes for different folks. You say something and somebody will be inspired by one part of it or another. Now, our products are the same way. We've got about 300 different products, and we're coming up to Christmas now. Now we should be really passionate about the products we got. Not only the scanner and what that does and the supplements, but we've also got all these other Christmas presents that we can think about to offer for Christmas. And it's not, right now is a great time. I mean, we're still 6 weeks away from Christmas, and it's a good time to get everybody to look at what we've got. Like, for example, just from your talking about the belt, everybody's starting to look on this call, is starting to look at this company. Well, let's do the same for PharmaNext New Skin. We got it all.
Yeah, I want to make a disclaimer. I am not. I am not being financially remunerated for my comments on Grip 6. I just like the company, but yeah, you're exactly right. You know, and that passion, it gets other people on board. You know, when there's passion in what you're saying, people will listen. Right? It's much easier for somebody to listen when you're talking about something in a positive, passionate way. Right? And when you can get people to listen to you, you can also get them to genuinely care about what you're doing, right? And one of the things that really kind of irritates me is when I scan somebody and they start making a joke about it, right? Because I'm super passionate about it and I'm telling them how important it is. And this happened when this summer we were having kind of a block party, and I brought the scanner and I told people what I was doing. They're like, "Oh, I want to be scanned." And all of a sudden it turned into, you know, who had the lowest score was the best, you know, because everybody was like, they were like, "Oh, you're going to be worse than me." You know, that's great. You know, and I'm like, no, that's not good. You know, it turned into a drinking game, and, you know, I totally lost my audience, right? Probably wasn't the best time to introduce that and try to be passionate about it when everybody was, you know, having some drinks. But, you know, but when you can be passionate about something, it draws people in, right? They want to find out what you're passionate about. They want to find out why you're passionate about it, you know? And when you have something that not only helps people, it helps patients, it helps physicians, it helps us. It's easy to be passionate about that, right? And it's easy when you're bringing something of value to people to be passionate about it.
Absolutely. The thing that people's imagination runs as well, because they want what you've got. if it's positive. Nobody wants to be surrounded by losers. Nobody wants to join the club of depressed people. But everybody wants to be part of the fun group. Everybody wants to be part of the people that are positive, that are having just, they got this energy and the vibes. So people are sheeple, like sheep. They like to follow a leader. And usually, hopefully, the leader can inspire them. And we're looking, of course, there are leaders that inspire negativity too. But I'm just saying that the passion is what drives it. So that's where I was saying you can be blinded by it or driven by it. So if you're driven by it, you can be driven by a positive passion, and there are no limits to what you can achieve, because there are no barriers, there's no obstacle. The passion is going to drive you way past all the obstacles. And I've always said the size of the challenge is directly proportional to the emotion with which you view it. This bloody challenge too, man. So, sorry. So the size of the challenge is directly proportional to the emotion with which you view it. If you view something with passion, with enthusiasm, with wow, I can do that, and I can, you'll do it, you'll achieve it. As opposed to, oh my gosh, this is huge, I don't think I can do it. Oh, well, then the same thing, you won't do it. So the passion is the driving force of what we have and what we do. But we've got to find why we are passionate and what we're passionate about. That's what the thing is. We've got to understand that. Otherwise we might be passionate about something that's irrelevant.
Yeah, I want to give you an example of that. So, this week on our team call, as we usually do, we invite, folks who are looking at the business that we may have had a conversation with, or send them an email with a business overview or something like that. This week, we happen to have an inordinate amount of new people. And, we were talking very passionately about the products, about the business. And, something that I've said about this business from the very beginning is there's a subset of people out there that want to belong to something greater, belong to something good, belong to something that they can be passionate about. And literally directly after our call, one of the guys that I hadn't even talked to him personally, I had sent him an email, and then I invited him to the call. As I always do, I sent out a mass mailing to everybody that I'm talking to, inviting him to the call. And he called me afterwards. He's like, one of the things that really struck me about being on this call was how passionate and how positive everybody is on the call. He's like, I want to be a part of something like that, And so passion and positivity can help you build your business, right? It's a mindset, and when your passion's contagious, and it rubs off on people, right? It's people there's so much negativity in the world right now. There's, different factions politically. There's, all this violence going on. We've got the pandemic. People have been locked up, locked down. They're yearning to get in and be part of something, right? And we can do that through Zoom and create that positivity and that passion, and it becomes contagious. Like I said, people just want to be part of something like that. So I think if you can talk about this very passionately, from the heart, it's going to draw people in as well.
Yeah, there's no question. There absolutely is no question. We're actually witnessing this with the people that we have on our teams, because we talk about sifting and sorting, as part of our methodology. Well, the sifting and sorting is also a big part of it, is our capability of being able to be passionate enough to ignite the passion of the other people, if they have that mentality that is possible. Because some people may be just absolutely not interested in any of what we're talking about. That's fine. So yeah, we've got evidence that passion works. And so I'm very happy to be able to be in love with what I do, because it's not work. It's just fun. And if we can do that, and we have a personal growth within that business, and we can make money, what more do we want? We're having fun, we got personal growth, and we're making money. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, for me, it's all passionate about helping other people, but it makes it easy to be passionate about this business, the business in general, because I can do it from anywhere, right? I can do it from my car. I can do it from a mountaintop if I got cell service. If I want to go fly fishing, I can do it from the side of a stream. There's all these opportunities in my daily activities of doing the things that I want to do that I could stop and take a half an hour out. The other day, I don't know if you guys know what a one wheel is, but it's basically a big wheel with kind of a skateboard on it, and you cruise around on it. And the other day I was actually cruising around town with my headphones in, and I was on a call, and they're like, wow, it must be really windy there. And I'm like, oh, I've got a confession to make. I'm actually riding around town on my one wheel while I'm talking to you. So it's like, I can do this business from anywhere. It's awesome. And there's a lot of people that are looking for that too. People, especially after the pandemic, people are realizing they don't want to go back and sit in a cubicle from 9 to 5. That's not the way they want to live life anymore. They've had a taste of the good life, being at home, working from home, being able to run to the grocery store in the middle of the day when traffic's not bad. All of these different things that can be life-changing for a lot of people from a lifestyle perspective. And people don't want that 9 to 5 job anymore. The future is going to be jobs like this. It's a gig economy, they call it. Everybody wants a gig, but they want that gig to ultimately turn into a full-time thing, right? And if we can get them to be passionate about a side gig, medical device rep, for instance, who's looking for a way to make residual income, if we can get them to be passionate about that and follow the system and be successful, then they can get out of doing what they're doing that makes their life miserable and gives them a better lifestyle, more time to enjoy life, more time to spend with their family, all of these different things. There's so much that this business offers. It's unbelievable.
Actually, Dan, you've just said something that makes me think. A lot of people, as you quite rightly say, are in a time of introspection. They're saying, well, I used to go to the office every day. I used to drive 2 hours a day backwards and forwards. I used to do this and have that. And then COVID changed all that. And they're now thinking, wow, there could actually be another way. Because this is a theme for another subject, another talk, another chat, but where the introspection gives birth to looking at something that they hadn't thought about, and that's up to us to help them with that. Anyway,
sometimes it takes. Sometimes when you're so ingrained in doing something like medical device sales for 25 years, that's all you know. You don't know that it can be any different. Right. But once you step away from that for a little while and you realize that there's something else and that you can live a better lifestyle, then your mind starts to change. You're like, maybe I don't have to stand around in an OR for 16, 18 hours a day. Maybe I don't have to go in on call at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I think a lot of these medical device reps start to think that they're indispensable. But once you step away from that business, look, I was replaced in a week and a half. And they didn't skip a beat. And guess what? All of my customers that I thought we were really good, tight friends, I haven't heard from any of them in 2.5 years. Because I'm not bringing any value to them anymore. They don't need me. They never needed me. They could have filled in with anybody. They can replace you. That's the thing about a 9 to 5 salaried job that most people don't understand. They think that they're more valuable than they are. I'm not saying that's for everybody, but everybody can be replaced. And in orthopedics and medical device, they're being replaced by robots. And a lot of these reps don't realize that they're out selling their replacements. They're selling robots that are meant to do their job or a portion of their job that's going to make them obsolete.
Interesting. Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks, Dan. I like that insight. if anybody's got any comment or anything like that, we're at 10:04. If anybody wants to have any comment or say anything, please go ahead.
Hey, I'd just like to say that Dan said something, that passion breeds passion. And, one of the things, he's got the belt, and then he got the wallet. And that comes back around to something that we know, that someone that makes a purchase from you is 7 times more likely to purchase something else, right? So great call today. Great call today, guys.
Yeah, good job. Thank you. Thanks, Mike. Anybody
Everybody
else?
go out and get your belts and wallets. I got bills to pay.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you. Thanks, everybody, for being on the call. Have a great week, and think about Christmas presents.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Lawrence.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. I'm gonna get a belt.
Don't forget to go to Kent's call on Wednesday, Kent and Mansi, and Scott's call on Monday, and also Kent, thank you. Listen to the recording from Wednesday, guys. It's very worthwhile. Thank you. Bless you.